Good afternoon. Welcome to TED Talk. If you would please turn your cell phones off. If anybody has one. This is a busy day at Westminster Village.
You are kidding.
Steve, you all set for tonight?
We're going to make it.
Did you find the attachment for your video for tripod?
Oh, no, we'll. I found another one. We're okay.
You got it.
I got it.
Don't make money.
So, how many people here are on the selection committee for TED Talk? We'll have a very brief meeting after this one, and I would like to really invite all of you, anybody who's interested in really contributing to making these programs what you want them to be. I mean, obviously we try all sorts of different things. Today's program is going to be very, very interesting, I think you find. But we have a selection team talk immediately after this meeting in the conference room, okay? And we're going to have a wonderful speaker today, aren't we, Monette? It's fun, isn't it? So, I'm just going to go ahead and put the video on and watch it, and then after the video we'll have a discussion. How's that sound? Good? Okay, good.
Dr. Chapman, so great to have you here today. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you.
We're so excited to be able to speak to you. So I wanted to ask you a few questions. Well, let's start with, what are the 5 love languages for those that may not know?
The 5 love languages are 5 different ways to express love on an emotional level. And they are words of affirmation. You look nice in that outfit. Words of affirmation. Gifts. Universal, to give gifts as an expression of love. The gift says, they were thinking about me. Acts of service, doing something for the other person that you know they would like for you to do. Quality time, giving them your undivided attention. I don't mean sitting on the couch watching television together. Someone else has your attention, but you're looking at each other, or you're taking a walk together and spending time talking to each other. And then physical touch. And out of those 5, the basic concept is that each of us has a primary love language. That's the one that speaks most deeply to us. And if you don't speak their primary love language, you can be speaking some of the other languages and they still will not feel loved. So it's designed to help couples or any individuals really that care about each other to express love in the most meaningful way to the other person.
How did you come to this discovery?
I discovered the 5 love languages out of my counseling. They would sit in my office and one of them would say, I just feel like he doesn't love me or she doesn't love me. And the other person would say, I don't understand that. I do this and this and this. Why would you not feel loved? And I knew people were sincere, but they were missing each other. In their mind, they were expressing love in a meaningful way, but it wasn't connecting with the other person. So I heard this over and over in my counseling office. So, I don't know, several years into my counseling, I thought, there's got to be a pattern to what I'm hearing. So I sat down and read several years of notes that I had made when I was counseling and asked myself, when someone sat in my office and said, I feel like my spouse doesn't love me, what did they want? What were they complaining about? And their answers fell into 5 categories. And I later called them the 5 love languages. So I started using that in my counseling. If you want her to feel love, you've got to speak love in her language. If you want him to feel love, you've got to speak love in his language. And I would help them discover each other's language and challenge them to go home and try it. And sometimes they'd come back in 3 weeks and say, Gary, this is changing everything. Whole climate's different now. And then I started using it in small groups. And the same thing would happen. And probably 5 years later, I thought, if I could put this concept in a book, write it in the language of the common person, maybe I could help a lot of couples I would never have time to see in my office. Of course, little did I know the book would sell now over 13 million copies in English and be translated in over 50 languages around the world. So evidently, it's helping people connect with each other, and that was my prayer.
Seeing what a success this book is and how it still is such a success, being that it was written in the 90s, have you ran across any other research since then that you would have gone back and added to the book, maybe even a sixth love language?
I've had people suggest a sixth love language. For example, one man said, Dr. Chapman, there's a sixth love language. I said, what is it? He said, chocolate. I said, well, if they bought it, it's a gift. If they made it, it's an act of service. And another guy said, the sixth love language is going shopping with my wife. I said, well, that sounds to me like a dialect of quality time. She wants your attention with her as she's doing something she enjoys doing. So really, I have not come up with a sixth love language that I think is valid, but I'm not dogmatic. Maybe there's a sixth, but so far I haven't discovered it.
Why do you think that young people have had, especially my generation, Generation Z, they've had such a struggle with relationships and monogamy? Why do you think this is?
Well, I think many of them have grown up not feeling loved by their parents. I say to parents, the question is not, do you love your children? The question is, do they feel loved? See, he's sitting in my office as a 13-year-old saying to me, my parents don't love me. They love my brother. They don't love me. I knew his parents. I knew they loved him, but they hadn't connected. They hadn't spoken his language. And I think when a child grows up not feeling loved by one or both parents, life is much more difficult when you don't feel loved. And then I think, too, the divorce rate in our country, which often happens when the children are young, and the children feel like, the parent that left doesn't love me, or they think the one that stayed, you ran them off, or, all kind of thoughts and feelings go on inside that child growing up. And it just creates emotional instability inside of them. And consequently, they don't feel loved, they don't know how to love, and yet they're hungry inside, and they're often looking for love. And typically they look in the wrong places. And so they get involved in destructive relationships, so they get involved with drugs and alcohol or whatever, and it's just a downward spiral.
Would you say that it is okay to ask your partner for the love language that you may not be receiving?
Yeah, I think as a couple, whether it's a dating couple or a married couple, I think we need to communicate what makes us feel loved. Now, we don't want to demand that they love us, but we can request. You can say, once you know each other's love language, if quality time is your language, for example, you can say, honey, you think we could get a weekend away? Or you think we could take a walk after dinner tonight? You can, and now that they know that's your language, they're far more likely to say, yeah, honey, sure, we can do that. So, yeah, I think discussing this concept and understanding each other's language and then making requests of each other when you feel like, you're I call it the love tank. The love tank is not full. You can request something. And love always is looking out for the other person's interest. Love is the attitude which says, I want to enrich your life. I want to help you be the person that God wants you to be. And that's love. It's doing what God did for us, when He sent Christ for us. So that kind of love is not natural. By nature, we're self-centered. And I want you to love me, and rather than my thinking in terms of how can I love you. But if we have an attitude of love, then the love languages gives you information on how to adequately express love, effectively express love.
Are love languages, are they multicultural?
That's what surprised me most, because my academic background is anthropology, cultural anthropology, study of cultures. I did an undergrad and a master's degree in cultural anthropology. And so when the Spanish publisher came, they were the first to want to get the rights to publish it in Spanish. And I said to my publisher, I don't know, does this work in Spanish? And they said, well, they've read the book and they want to publish it. And I said, well, let them publish it. And it became their bestseller. And then came the German, the French, and on up over, as I said, over 50 languages now. So apparently, it does transcend cultural barriers. Now, I think maybe the way the languages are expressed certainly will be impacted by the culture. But these languages seem to be rather fundamental to human nature.
Tell us what it would look like, a couple that had a full love tank versus an empty.
I'm using the metaphor of a gasoline tank in a car. If there's no gasoline in the tank, the car's not going anywhere. If it's full, you can drive a long ways. If it's got a fourth of a tank, you can drive a shorter distance. And so I'm using that to say that everyone has an emotional love tank. And if the love tank is full, the relationship flourishes. If the love tank is empty, the relationship is really in trouble. And so what we want to do is keep the love tank full. So I sometimes suggest to couples who know the concept and who know each other's language that periodically you say to the other person, on a scale of 0 to 10, how full is your love tank? And if they say anything less than 10, you say, what could I do to help fill it? And they give you an idea. Now you know, you choose to do it or not, but now you know. It's just kind of a fun way of keeping this on the front burner in a relationship.
I'm going to use that. That's a good one. So, for the long-distance couples out there, how do you portray quality time and physical touch?
Good question. We deal with that in a version of the book called The 5 Love Languages Military Edition. And in that book, we talk about how do you speak these languages when you're deployed. So we interviewed scores and scores and scores of military couples who already knew the concept because military chaplains have been giving the book out for years on ways to do this. For example, physical touch. You would think that would be impossible, half world away. But one lady said this, I knew my husband's language was physical touch. So when he was deployed, I put my hand on a sheet of paper. I traced my hand and mailed it to him with a note that said, put your hand on my hand, I want to hold your hand. When he came home, he said to me, Gary, every time I put my hand on that paper, I felt her. It's not literal touch, but it's emotional touch, and that's what we're talking about. And then a man said, I knew her love language is physical touch. So before I left, I said to her, I'm going to leave my jean jacket here. Anytime you need a hug, you put it on and I'll hug you. She said, Gary, every time I put it on, I felt his arms around me. So there are practical ways, and we spell those out in that military edition. Quality time, for example, an old-fashioned handwritten letter speaks to the person who has quality time as their language because they're sitting there reading it and they're thinking, man, they took time to write this thing. And then again, they can read it again and again and hold it in their hand. So that really does speak to quality time people.
And I want to close with, how do you think Christ shows us the 5 love languages?
Well, it's very interesting. I wrote a book called God Speaks Your Love Language, in which I did 2 things. I went through the whole Bible just looking for these love languages from God. And they're all over the Bible, Old Testament and New Testament. God speaks all 5 fluently. And I did that because people kept asking me, what's God's love language? And I found out He speaks all of them fluently. But what I did discover is this, that often people are drawn to Christ when they sense His love in their love language. And there's biblical examples of that. Saul, for example, on the road to Damascus, he had a physical experience. He saw the light, his eyes were blinded, he fell to the ground, he heard the voice of God. It was a physical aspect of that. He's blind for 3 days. And for some people, God does speak in a physical way. You know, they'll say, I was sitting there and my body started shaking and I started crying and I just felt God was all on my body, and that draws them to Christ. And for others, they didn't have that kind of experience at all. You know, quality time person will probably come to Christ. They start reading the Bible, they start reading Christian books, and one morning in a quiet place they say, I believe, you know. And then after we become believers, I think we tend to express our love to God in our own love language. For example, if acts of service is my love language, then I'm the one that volunteers to work in the soup kitchen, you know. So very, very interesting study in that book, God Speaks Your Love Language.
That's so interesting. I never thought that we even show God the love that we show other people.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for speaking to us. We're very excited to hear you speak tonight, and thank you so much for coming.
time and physical touch. Does anybody want to make a comment about what you saw? Do you think this was helpful? I think all of us know this innately, and we've experienced this. We've been able to put it in this terminology. But what do you think? Do you think, don't you think? Elaine, you want to say something?
I was thinking that this applies very much for friends as much as it does for family. So, but getting back to, let's start with family. We're going to ask our children, which I have never done, what is your primary love language? And make sure, I mean, it's never too late to find out what they really appreciate the most. And we're going to start with family and do more of that. I'm going to try to stir it up around my dinner table.
Well, have you just thought about this before? Have you discussed this in your family, any of you? And you want to share an experience?
About 20 years ago, or longer, when we came back from Switzerland and Hong Kong to live in the States, Jim had surgery. And he turned to me and said, you know all those marriage courses you've been wanting to take? He said, go and pick one, and I will do it with you while I recover. And we did Gary Smalley's chapter. We did this course, and it was absolutely fabulous. It was great. But every now and then he would come home from work and put his arms all over my shoulders and say, it's not you, it's work. I'm still crazy about you. It's not you, it's work. And there were different ways that you learned to say and reassure. And also, my children's love languages are entirely different from mine. And that was a real wake-up call. That I was loving them the way I wanted to be loved, and had not understood to even think about how they wanted to be loved.
I think everybody wants to be loved, and we all have different ways of showing that love. All right, Don?
I'd like to share one with you. I lost my wife in 18, and I kind of gave up. I had Helen Woodnower, she's now passed. She came on, didn't say anything, just gave me a big hug. And it's so effective. No words, just a hug and holding you for a second, and you feel the peace come in your body.
I'm just trying to help you because it was hard for me to hear you.
Well, just having a hug without all the words that, you know, if you're grieving about something, it's your own personal thing. And I was against people coming up and saying, oh, she was such a nice thing, you know, and it really got me when Helen came up, didn't say a damn thing, I kind of pushed her away maybe, and then that hug, it just said, here you go, and he gave me peace, and it really started me on another path, and she's in heaven, I hope.
Somebody else wants to share? I thought I saw a hand go up, but
I
maybe
was concerned when we first started talking about this, that gee, the people in the audience that are not married or divorced or lost a loved one, the love languages really won't apply to them. So it's very interesting to hear, Susie, what you said. But you know, when you think about this community we live in this loving kindness thing, this kind of really does pull it all together, doesn't it? I think it does.
absolutely. And this is a good place for us all to practice love languages. We can practice all of them. We have friends and we have acquaintances here. We're just we're just waiting to be loved. All of us. We're waiting to be loved. So it's okay for you to shake a hand, give a hug, say a kind word, do something nice for somebody, or do something that someone needs, a visit, for instance, skilled care, or assisted living. There are folks there that don't have family and they're lonely. If you don't have anything to do and you want to show love, go make a visit. A lot of you already do that, I know. I see you. I see you doing all kinds of wonderful things for one another. And this is such a great community to feel love and to give love. so I commend all of us for that. Mike, you have anything else in closing?
Yes, I know that your love language is gifts, but I want to give you a gift. And the gift is an affirmation that you were not really ready for this, I don't think, when we first started talking about it. And I kind of put the pressure on you to do it, and you accepted it. I really thank you for doing it, and you did a beautiful job. Yes, give it to Susie. There you go.
Speaking of love and kindness, I have found in the 3 years that I've been here, all of a sudden, names are disappearing. And I think love and kindness is every time I see one of you with your name tag on. And I mean, I know certainly who you are. But when I turned around and said, this is my husband, and he said, Jim Doobie, how are you? So it's only happened once, but I know it's going to happen again. And I think the fact that we really all make an effort, no matter how long we've been here. I know I've got 4 or 5 name tags now on my refrigerator because I lose them. But I think that really is one of the kindest, most thoughtful things we can do for each other.
We really want to encourage you to come to the meeting right after this in the conference room. If you're interested in learning more about TED Talks or making a contribution, we cover everything from the Everglades to emotional intelligence, artificial intelligence. So the subject matter that you would like to hear about, come and let's discuss it. And do some research on TED Talks to see what you'd like to talk about. This is a lot of fun, don't you think? Yes. And the best part of the program is the comedy coming up, so hang on.
Would you please step aside?
You can't go in the palace.
But the king and me live here. But the king and I live here.
Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But nobody goes in the palace without the password.
But I am your queen.
That's not it. You take one more step, lady, and I'll put this whole gun in your mouth.
What did he say?
He said if I took one more step, he would put the whole gun in my mouth.
I'd like to see that.
My husband said he'd like to see. You talk to him.
Young man, we really must get in there. The Queen has to get to the throne.
No password, no throne.
How in blazes we ever get an idiot like this as a palace guard?
Anyhow, if I'm not mistaken, this is the young man who was awarded this post of honor for his extreme heroism.
Get out of here.
No, really. That man saved his entire platoon by swallowing a live hand grenade before it went off.
Oh, come on.
I kid you not. That poor brave man standing there has no internal organs.
Hey, this is the king you're talking to.
I mean it. He is completely hollow. Watch.
By Jove, you're right. Young man, we're very proud of you. You're a very dutiful guard, and we would like to present you with a reward.
Okay, by me.
Every man has his price. Here's a nice new shiny shilling for you.
I don't want your shilling.
What?
Stick it in your ear.
I beg your pardon?
I said, stick it in your ear.
Psst.
What did he say?
He said, stick it in my ear.
Don't do it.
I shan't.
I'll talk to him. Young man, you're a very well-trained guard not to accept any money.
I don't want no money.
That's very commendable indeed.
I want a popsicle.
A what?
A popsicle. You know. It's a frozen thing on a stick. Jeez.
He wants a popsicle.
A what?
A popsicle. You know, a frozen thing on a stick. Shoes.
That's completely preposterous. How are we going to find a popsicle? Yes, Your Majesty.
Young man, I would like a popsicle, please.
What flavour, Your Royal Highness?
Oh, wait a minute. What flavour?
Buffalo.
He wants a buffalo popsicle.
Are you sure?
Would I make that up? Young man, I would like a buffalo-flavoured popsicle, please.
I don't have that, Your Majesty.
Oh, you expecting any in?
Your Highness, there's no such thing as a buffalo-flavoured popsicle.
Yeah. Young man, there is no such thing as a buffalo-flavoured popsicle.
Oh. Well, I'll take a double-decker cone then.
Yes, all right.
1 scoop of antelope sherbet and 1 scoop of goat hoof ice cream.
You're out of your gourd, guard. Do you know that? Do you know that? Do you know what's under that fancy hat of yours, huh? Vacant city! Now, the king and me have been standing, the king and I have been standing here in the cold night air, freezing our royal amulets off, while you are standing there, gun in hand, preventing us from entering our beautiful helm, blabbering on and on about antelope ice cream and goat hoof sherbet.
It's antelope sherbet and goat hoof ice cream.
Whatever! Now you listen to me, and you better listen good. They got vanilla. They got chocolate. They even got coconut papaya. But there is no such thing as animal flavored ice cream, you hollowed out little cream.
Good news. I believe I see a buffalo popsicle way in the back there.
Well, there you go, smarty pants. Here, hold this. Where?
Right in the back.
Oh.
All the way in the back.
All right.
So you can imagine how much fun it is each week trying to pick out the programs and the comedy, because we have such a wide variety of residents with so many different interests. That's the reason we need help. So if you really want to jump in and come help us, especially on the comedy side. We've done Monette, we've done, I love it when he does the dental routine with the Novocaine. That's so funny, it really is. You know? So well, thank you all for coming. We're out here on time, and we'll see you next month. Thank you.